Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take a massive stack of articles, research papers, and sometimes, like today, ancient texts that have been gathering dust for thousands of years, and we try to find the shortcut to being well-informed without the overwhelm.
And we are doing something a little different today, aren't we?
We certainly are.
Usually we're unpacking modern tech trends, geopolitical shifts, or maybe a dense biography of a 20th century figure. Today, we are setting the time machine back about 2.5 millennia.
Way back.
We're looking at a play written in 458 BC.
Right. We are diving into The Libation Bearers by the ancient Greek playwright Aeschylus. Now, I have to be honest with you. When I first saw this on the schedule, I thought, okay, great, a dusty literature lecture. Get your pillows ready.
I get that.
But then I started reading the stack of sources you prepared, and wow.
It's not what you expected.
Not even close. I mean, yes, it's old, but this isn't just people standing around in togas reciting poetry. This is a psychological thriller.
It really is.
It's a horror story. It's got family dysfunction that makes, I don't know, Succession look like Sesame Street. And surprisingly, the sources argue that it is a really powerful mirror for understanding Christian theology.
It absolutely is. And that is the specific lens we're using today. Our mission isn't just to summarize a play so you can pretend you've read it at a cocktail party.
Right.
We want to answer a very specific, somewhat provocative question. How can a modern Christian listener benefit from reading a pagan tragedy about matricide, blood feuds, and despair?
Yeah, matricide. Spoiler alert for a 2,500-year-old play.
Yeah.
A guy kills his mom.
It's heavy.
It is heavy stuff. So what here is fascinating? The sources argue that you can't really appreciate the solution, which in the Christian faith is grace, unless you really deeply understand the problem.
That's it.
And this play, it is the ultimate depiction of the problem.
Exactly. It depicts the human condition without grace. It shows us a world trapped in a cycle of vengeance that is completely inescapable. It poses a problem that the Christian faith claims to solve. So if you want to understand why the concept of forgiveness is so radical, you have to see what the world looks like when forgiveness literally doesn't exist as an option.
Okay, so let's look at our source stack for today. We are working off the full text of the play, specifically the translation by Ian Johnston, which I found surprisingly readable.
It's a great one.
It flows almost like a modern radio drama. We also have his introductory lectures on the House of Atreus and a collection of scholarly analyses that contrast these Greek themes with Old and New Testament theology.
And just a quick note on structure before we jump in. The Libation Bearers is actually the second part of a trilogy called the Oresteia.
Right, the middle child, the one that always gets ignored.
In a way, yes. The first play is Agamemnon, which sets up the murder. The third is the Eumenides, which resolves it. But the Libation Bearers is the messy middle. It's where the crisis is at its absolute worst. It deals with the fallout, the confusion, and the trap of sin. It's the storm before the calm, but the storm is where the real human struggle happens.
So to understand what's happening when the curtain rises, we need the backstory. And in Greek tragedy, the backstory is everything.
It's assumed knowledge for the original audience.
Right. They knew the myths, but I admit I got a little lost in the family tree. It felt like I needed a flow chart just to figure out who was killing whom.
It is a tangled web, for sure. We are talking about the House of Atreus.
Yeah.
And if you think your family Thanksgiving is awkward, just wait.
Okay, let's map this out. Who started this mess? Where does this all begin?
Well, the root of the rot, or at least the part that concerns us, starts with a man named Atreus. He was the king of Argos.
Atreus, got it.
He had a brother named Thyestes. Now, these two brothers were constantly fighting over the throne, fighting over women's standard royal drama.
The usual stuff.
But then, Atreus did something unspeakable, something that poisoned the well for generations to come.
This is the Thyestan banquet. I read the description in the notes, and I actually felt sick. It's almost too cartoonishly evil, isn't it?
It feels that way, but the horror is the point.
Does anyone actually do that?
In the realm of Greek myth, absolutely. And it's meant to be a foundational atrocity. Atreus wanted to punish his brother in a way that would defile him forever. So he pretended to seek reconciliation.
He fakes a truce.
Exactly. He invited his brother Thyestes over for a feast, a let's bury the hatchet dinner. But Atreus had secretly murdered Thyestes' own young children.
Oh, man.
He butchered them, he cooked their flesh in a stew, and he served that stew to their father, Thyestes.
I don't even have words for that. It's the ultimate violation. I mean, hospitality, or xenia, as they called it, was huge in the ancient world.
It was a sacred duty.
You don't kill a guest. You certainly don't feed him his own kids.
Exactly. And the text tells us that Thyestes ate the meal. He didn't know. And once he was full, Atreus brought out a platter. But on the platter wasn't dessert.
No.
It was the heads and the hands of the children. He revealed them to show Thyestes exactly what he had just done.
That is, I mean, that's horror movie territory. That's worse than horror movies.
It is. Thyestes, obviously overcome with horror and nausea, vomited up the meal, he kicked over the table, and then he stood there and cursed the entire line of Atreus.
He curses the family.
He curses the family. And this is the crucial part for you to understand. In the Greek worldview, that curse isn't just him shouting angry words. It's a living thing.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean a living thing? Like a ghost?
Like more like a mechanism, a machine that has been switched on. Once that curse is spoken and once that atrocity has been committed, the universe demands balance. Blood demands more blood. It becomes a deterministic cycle. The Greeks called it the Alastor, an avenging spirit that inhabits the house.
So the family is infected.
Precisely. The family's infected with violence. It's in the walls. It's in their blood. And that brings us to the next generation, Agamemnon.
Agamemnon is Atreus' son, so he inherits this infection.
He does. Agamemnon becomes the king of Argos. He's the big boss who leads the Greeks to Troy to get Helen back. But the curse manifests immediately. To get his ships to sail, because the goddess Artemis has stopped the winds, he feels he has to make a sacrifice.
He doesn't sacrifice a goat.
No. He sacrifices his own daughter, Iphigenia. He slits her throat on the altar to get favorable winds for his war.
Talk about the sins of the father. It's just repeating the pattern of child killing.
Exactly. It's the echo of the banquet. So he kills his daughter. He goes to war for 10 years. When he comes back in the first play of the trilogy, Agamemnon, his wife, Clytemnestra, is waiting for him.
And she hasn't exactly been knitting socks and waiting by the window.
Definitely not. She hasn't forgotten Iphigenia. Her grief has turned into a cold, hard diamond of hatred. She traps Agamemnon in a bath, literally throws a net or a heavy robe over him so he can't fight back, and she stabs him to death.
Vicious.
Over and over.
And she doesn't do this alone, right? She has a lover. And this is where the family tree gets really gross.
It does. Her lover is Aegisthus. And guess who Aegisthus is?
Don't tell me.
He's the surviving son of Thyestes.
No way!
The brother who was fed his own children. Aegisthus was the only one left. So look at it from his perspective. Helping Clytemnestra kill Agamemnon.
That's his family's revenge.
That's justice for his brothers.
And Clytemnestra sees it as justice for her daughter.
Precisely. So everyone thinks they are the hero of their own story. They're all doing justice. Clytemnestra says, I am the executioner, not the murderer.
But the result is just more dead bodies.
More dead bodies and a kingdom ruled by fear. Because now Agamemnon is dead. Clytemnestra and her lover Aegisthus are ruling Argos like tyrants.
Okay.
And the rightful heir, Agamemnon's son Orestes, has been in exile since he was a child. He's been hiding away, growing up, waiting.
This setup immediately made me think of the biblical concept of a generational curse. You know, Exodus 20.5, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. It sounds almost identical.
It's a very strong parallel, but there is a nuance we need to catch.
Okay.
Both the Greek and biblical worldviews acknowledge that sin has a blast radius. It doesn't just stop with the sinner. It tears through families and generations. If your father is a murderer, that trauma shapes you.
Yeah.
But here is the difference.
Which is?
In the Greek view, specifically in this play, the curse is deterministic. It's mechanical. You are doomed to repeat the violence. It's like a genetic defect you can't edit out.
You're trapped.
You're trapped. In the biblical view, while the consequences echo down the generations, the moral guilt isn't forced upon the child in the same way. Ezekiel 18 is very clear. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father.
Right.
There is a way out through repentance. In Aeschylus' world, as we're about to see, the tragedy is that there is no way out.
Okay, so the stage is set. The House of Atreus is a slaughterhouse. Agamemnon is dead. The tyrants are in charge. And Orestes is out there somewhere. This brings us to part 2, the plot. Return, recognition, and ritual.
The play opens at a tomb, Agamemnon's tomb.
Paint the picture for us. What does it look like?
It's a desolate place, probably a mound of earth. Orestes, who is now a young man, has returned in secret. He's with his best friend Pylades.
Pylades. Okay.
Orestes is dressed like a traveler, maybe a bit ragged from exile, and he does something specific right away. He cuts off a lock of his hair.
Why hair? Is that just a Greek thing?
It is. It's a traditional offering to the dead. You give a part of yourself. He places it on the tomb. He's mourning the father he wasn't there to bury. He says, I did not mourn you as your corpse was carried out.
So it's a moment of regret.
A deep regret. but he has to hide almost immediately because he sees a procession of women coming.
And these are the libation bearers the title refers to.
Yes, the chorus. In Greek tragedy, the chorus is usually a group of bystanders. Here, they are slave women. They are Trojan captives.
So these are women whose city was destroyed by Agamemnon.
Yes.
So why are they visiting his grave? You'd think they'd be happy he's dead.
That's the complexity. They hated Agamemnon the Conqueror, but they hate Clytemnestra and Aegisthus even more. Because under the current tyrants, their lives are miserable.
Oh.
They are beaten, they are oppressed. They see Agamemnon as the lesser of two evils, or at least the enemy of their current enemy. And they are walking with Electra, Orestes' sister.
And they are carrying jars of wine and oil libations to pour on the grave. But why? Did Clytemnestra suddenly feel guilty?
Not guilty.
Yeah.
Terrified. The sources describe this, and it is freaky. Clytemnestra had a nightmare.
Oh, the snake dream. This is straight up Freud.
It is deeply symbolic. She dreamt she gave birth to a snake.
The snake!
And in the dream, she didn't recoil. She treated it like a baby. She wrapped it in swaddling clothes. She pulled it to her breast to nurse it.
This is going to end badly. I can feel it.
It does. The snake bit her breast. And the text says it sucked out a mixture of milk and blood.
Yikes. That is vivid and very specific.
She woke up screaming. She lit all the lamps in the palace. She is terrified that the spirit of Agamemnon is angry and sending monsters to get her.
So this isn't about remorse. It's about fear.
Pure fear. So in a panic, she sends Electra and these slave women to pour libations to appease the ghost. She's trying to bribe the dead husband she murdered.
Sorry I killed you. Here's some wine. Please don't haunt me.
Exactly. Which puts Electra in a weird spot. She hates her mother. She mourns her father. And now she's supposed to do her mother's bidding to make the ghost shut up.
What a terrible position to be in.
And the chorus, these slave women, they actually intervene here. They tell Electra, don't do it.
They do.
They do. They are the instigators. They say, don't pour these for your mother. Pour them for yourself. Pray for vengeance. They teach her how to pray a curse.
So they're pushing her towards revenge.
They are. And this leads to the reunion. Electra sees the lock of hair on the tomb, and she sees footprints. Now, I have to ask, the footprints thing.
I was going to ask about that.
It's famous, right?
She matches her brother's footprints to her own. Does that work?
Laughs. It is a famous plot hole. It's a bit of a leap in logic. Even Euripides, another playwright just a few years later, made fun of this scene in his own play. He basically said, men have bigger feet than women. This is stupid.
Okay, so it's not just me.
It's not just you. But we have to suspend our disbelief. Poetically, it works. It emphasizes that they are of the same stock, the same blood.
Right. It's symbolic matching, not CSI Argos.
Exactly. Orestes steps out of hiding. He reveals himself. And we get this incredibly emotional reunion. You have to remember, these are two damaged kids.
They've been through so much.
Electra's been treated like a slave in her own house. Orestes has been in exile. They cling to each other. Orestes calls them the two orphans of the eagle, whose father was killed by a viper.
The imagery is so powerful.
Once they are reunited, the tone shifts. They stop crying and start plotting. This section is called the komos. Can you unpack that term?
Yes, a komos is a technical term for a lyrical song of lamentation. It's a chant. In this play, it goes on for a long time. It's Orestes, Electra, and the chorus standing around the grave, chanting to the spirit of Agamemnon and to the gods of the underworld.
And for a Christian reader, this is a fascinating and disturbing section to analyze. Because it's a prayer, but it's not like any prayer I'm used to.
No, it is a conjuring. They are trying to literally wake up the dead man's anger. Listen to some of the lines from Johnston's translation. Orestes says, "Father, remember the bath where you were slain?"
Wow.
Electra adds, "Remember the net, the trap they used? They are poking the ghost."
It's so dark. They are invoking the earth and the dead to gain the power to kill.
Contrast this with the Christian concept of prayer. Christian prayer is usually about aligning oneself with God's will, seeking peace or intercession, thy will be done.
Right.
Here, the prayer is, give me the power to murder. They are trapped in a system where justice requires them to act violently. Orestes says something heartbreaking in this section. We are beggars in our own home.
That line really stuck with me. Beggars in our own home.
It's tragic. They are the rightful princes, but they are reduced to begging the dead for scraps of power. They are pleading for the strength to commit a sin because they view it as their only duty.
That brings us to part 3, the moral trap. This is really the crux of the play, isn't it? The futility of human vengeance.
It really is.
Because Orestes isn't just some angry kid. He's on a mission from a god.
This is the double bind, and it is terrifying. If you miss this, you miss the tragedy.
Absolutely. Orestes has been commanded by Apollo to kill the murderers of his father.
Apollo is the god of light, prophecy, truth. So this is a divine command. You don't say no to that.
Yes, but the murderer of his father is his mother.
Right.
And matricide, killing your mother, is one of the ultimate crimes in Greek culture. It's a taboo. It creates miasma.
Okay, there is that word again, miasma. We glossed over it earlier. Break it down. What exactly is it?
The Greeks had this word, miasma. It's often translated as pollution, but that's too clinical. It's more like a contagion. Think of it like a spiritual radiation.
Spiritual radiation. I like that.
If you kill your kin, you are radioactive. You endanger the whole city just by walking down the street. Crops will fail.
Yeah.
Women will miscarry. It's a physical stain on the soul and the land.
So if he obeys Apollo and kills his mom, he is radioactive, he is polluted. But what if he says, no thanks, Apollo, I can't kill my mom? What's the downside there?
Then he faces the wrath of Apollo. And the sources detail the threats Apollo makes. It's not just a slap on the wrist.
I'm guessing not.
Apollo tells Orestes that if he doesn't avenge his father, he will be pursued by the Furies anyway. He will be covered in leper sores. His flesh will rot. He will be an outcast, unable to approach any altar, and eventually he will die in agony and madness.
So wait a minute. Talk about being between a rock and a hard place.
It's a lose-lose situation.
If he acts, he's damned. If he doesn't act, he's damned.
It's a perfect trap. And this is where the Christian insight really opens up. This play demonstrates the futility of vengeance in a world without grace. Every choice leads to death.
Every path is a dead end.
Correct. In a system based purely on retribution, an eye for an eye, there is no room for a third option. There is no forgiveness that can override the debt. The debt must be paid in blood.
And the Bible has that famous verse, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. It's in Deuteronomy, and Paul quotes it in Romans.
Right.
And usually I hear that verse as a threat, like God is saying, back off, I'm the one who gets to punish people. It sounds scary.
That's how it's often framed.
But reading the Libation Bearers changes the tone of that verse entirely, doesn't it?
It does.
After seeing Orestes sweating bullets, trying to figure out how to navigate this impossible moral maze, God saying, vengeance is mine, sound like a relief.
Exactly. It's not a threat, it's a mercy. It's God saying, put the sword down. You aren't strong enough to carry this weight. You don't have the wisdom to judge this. Let me handle it.
Wow.
It frees the human being from the cycle. Orestes doesn't have that freedom. He must carry the weight.
He has to be the judge, jury, and executioner.
And he knows it's going to destroy him.
Let's move to the execution of this vengeance. Part 4. The climax. Orestes and Pylades go to the palace. They use deception.
They knock on the door disguised as travelers from Phocis. They claim they have news. Orestes is dead.
Which is a smart lie. It lowers the defenses. If Orestes is dead, Clytemnestra is safe. The threat is gone.
Clytemnestra comes to the door, and her reaction is complex. She feigns grief, oh, our house is ruined. But the audience knows, and the servants confirm later, that she feels relief.
Secretly, she's thrilled.
Her hope of safety is restored.
But then we get the scene with the nurse, Celyssa, and I have to be honest, in the original script, we kind of breezed past her. But in the full text, she has this whole monologue about diapers.
Laughs, yes, the diapers.
Yeah.
It's one of the most brilliant human moments in all of Greek tragedy.
It's so jarring. You have kings and murders and gods, and then this old woman comes out crying, talking about cleaning up baby poop.
She's crying real tears. Clytemnestra was fake crying. Celyssa is heartbroken because she thinks Orestes is dead.
Because she's the one who actually raised him.
Exactly. And she says, I raised him. I spent my nights pacing the floor with him when he screamed. I had to wash his diapers. A baby doesn't tell you when it's going to wet itself. The stomach just acts.
Why does Aeschylus include that? Is it just for a laugh? Or to show the common person's perspective?
It's deeper than that. It grounds the tragedy in flesh and blood. It reminds us that Orestes, the man currently standing there with a sword, was once a helpless infant. He was loved. He was cared for.
It raises the stakes.
It raises the stakes immensely. This isn't just a hero killing a villain. This is a human being destroying the very bonds of life and care that sustained him. It makes the coming matricide feel infinitely more tragic.
So the nurse inadvertently helps them. She was supposed to tell Aegisthus to come with bodyguards, but the chorus whispers to her, hey, tell him to come alone.
And she does. Aegisthus walks into the trap. He enters the palace. We hear a scream. The tyrant and coward is dead.
And then comes the big moment, the confrontation. Clytemnestra realizes something is wrong. She runs into the room. She sees her lover dead. She realizes the stranger is her son. She calls for an axe, her man axe, she calls it.
A van-killing axe.
But she doesn't get it in time. She has to face him with words.
And she pulls a move that stops Orestes cold. It is the most intense moment in the play.
She rips open her robe.
She bares her breast, the actual breast, and she points to it. She says, "Stop, my son. Have pity on this breast. This is where you slept. This is where you drank the milk that gave you life."
Wow. I mean, that is primal. I gave you life, don't take mine.
It's the ultimate defense, and it works. Orestes hesitates. The momentum of the play crashes to a halt. He lowers the sword. He turns to his friend Pylades and asks, "Pylades, what should I do? How can I kill my mother?"
And this is crazy because Pylades has been on stage the whole time, right?
Yes, for the whole play.
But he hasn't said a single word. He's just been the silent sidekick until this exact second.
Exactly. He speaks for the first and only time. And what he says changes everything. He doesn't say she's evil or she killed your dad. He says, "What are the oracles of Apollo? What are the oaths you swore? Better that all men be your enemy than the gods."
Chills. Better all men be your enemy than the gods.
It represents the divine command overruling human instinct. The source material emphasizes this tension. The natural law says, "Love your mother." The divine law of Apollo says, "Avenge your father."
And Pylades is the voice of the divine law.
He is. He tips the scale. He is essentially the voice of Apollo in that room.
So Orestes hardens his heart. He drags her into the palace. He kills her on top of Aegisthus' body.
And then silence.
In most action movies, this is where the credits roll. Bad guy dead, hero wins. But that is not what happens here.
None at all. The palace doors open. Orestes is standing there. He's holding the bloody sword. He's also holding the net, the robe Clytemnestra used to trap Agamemnon years ago. He's displaying it like evidence in a court case.
He's trying to convince everyone and himself that he did the right thing.
He's shouting, "I did it! It was justice! She was a monster! Look at this trap she used!"
Yeah.
But as he speaks, his syntax starts to break down. He says his mind like a chariot racer whose horses have gone off the track.
It's unraveling.
He feels the madness coming.
And then he sees them.
Furies.
Describe them for us, because these aren't just guilty feelings. These are real beings to him.
No. In Greek mythology, they are terrifying monsters. They are the Erinyes. They are ancient, older than the Olympian gods. They have snakes for hair. Their eyes drip blood. They are the physical embodiment of the curse. They smell the blood on Orestes' hands, and they come to hunt him.
But nobody else sees them. The chorus is looking around going, Orestes, you're hallucinating. It's just the stress. Go wash your hands.
But for Orestes, they are real. He screams, "You don't see them, but I see them. They are driving me away."
Yeah.
And he runs off the stage in terror.
So the play ends not with peace, but with absolute chaos.
Justice has been served according to the old law. The murderer was murdered. But the result is madness. The third storm has broken over the house, and Orestes is now a fugitive, hunted by demons.
So let's pivot to the deep dive. Part 5. Why should a Christian read this? How does this benefit someone's faith? Because honestly, that ending is a massive downer.
It is a downer, but that is exactly where the value lies. Benefit number 1 is what I call understanding the dark backdrop of the gospel.
Okay, unpack this. The dark backdrop.
You know how a diamond looks brighter when you display it on black velvet?
Sure. Contrast.
This play is the black velvet. We live in a society that is deeply influenced by Christian values, even if people don't realize it. We assume forgiveness is a virtue. We assume there are ways to start over.
We take it for granted.
Completely. But when you read the Libation Bearers, you are transported to a world where those safety nets don't exist. You see a world where blood demands more blood is the only law.
So it's showing us the problem that the gospel answers.
Precisely. If you live in a nice, modern, semi-Christianized society, concepts like grace and atonement can feel a bit abstract, like, oh, sure, forgiveness is nice.
Right, it's a platitude.
But when you read this play, you feel the visceral horror of a world without those things. You see Orestes running away screaming, and you realize, this is where we would be. The gospel solves the problem Aeschylus poses. How do you stop the cycle?
And the Bible has a very specific answer to stopping the cycle. Matthew 5, turn the other cheek. Or Matthew 18, the parable of the unmerciful servant.
Right. Jesus introduces a circuit breaker. Forgiveness breaks the loop. Aeschylus shows it's a closed loop of violence. Jesus breaks the loop. Reading the play helps you appreciate just how radical that innovation is. It wasn't just a nice moral teaching, it was a survival mechanism for the human race.
That's a great point. That leads into benefit number 2, a critique of eye for an eye. The sources mention something interesting about lex talionis.
Yes, we often think of eye for an eye as a harsh, primitive rule.
Yeah, we use it as an example of something brutal.
But historically, and in the Old Testament, lex talionis was actually a mercy. It was a limit.
A limit! How so?
It meant only one eye for one eye. If you knock out my tooth, I can't burn down your house and kill your family. I can only take your tooth. It stops escalation.
Ah, okay. It's a cap on revenge, not a command for it.
Exactly. But in the Greek tragedy of the House of Atreus, we see what happens when that limit isn't there, or when the interpretation of justice spirals.
Right. Agamemnon kills Iphigenia. Clytemnestra kills Agamemnon and captures the kingdom. Orestes kills Clytemnestra, and Aegisthus, it spirals.
It always spirals. The play demonstrates that human-led retribution is self-destructive. It validates the Christian teaching that justice ultimately belongs to God. Because when humans try to balance the scales themselves, we usually break the scale.
That makes so much sense. Okay, benefit number 3, the concept of pollution versus atonement. We talked about miasma and the Furies.
This is a huge concept. Orestes is physically and spiritually stained by his mother's blood. He needs purification. He talks about going to Apollo's shrine to be cleansed. But here's the thing. Does the purification work?
Well, in the next play, Apollo purifies him with pig's blood. But the Furies are still chasing him, so no.
Exactly. The ritual cleansing cleans his hands, but it doesn't clean his conscience. The Furies are still there. They don't care about the pig's blood.
And the parallel here is to the book of Hebrews.
Hebrews 9.14 is the perfect companion text to this play. The author of Hebrews contrasts the blood of bulls and goats, which can purify the flesh, essentially making you ritually clean, with the blood of Christ, which cleanses the conscience.
That's the key word, conscience.
It is. Orestes has a stained conscience that drives him mad. No amount of pig's blood can fix that. The play highlights the desperate human need for a cleansing that actually reaches the inside. Orestes is the ultimate picture of the sinner who knows he is guilty but has nowhere to put that guilt.
That's powerful. He's looking for something that his religion couldn't fully provide.
Exactly. His gods gave him a command but couldn't give him peace.
Benefit number 4, cultural empathy and evangelism. This is about understanding the world the New Testament was written into.
We have to remember, Paul was preaching to people who knew these stories. When he went to Athens in Acts 17, he was talking to people raised on Aeschylus and Homer.
So when they talked about fate or Moira, it wasn't just a horoscope thing. It was a serious philosophical position.
No, it was a crushing weight. It was a worldview of despair, of fatalism. It doesn't matter what I do, the curse will get me. My grandfather ate his nephew, so I'm doomed.
And that applies today, too. We have modern versions of fatalism.
We do. People say, I had this trauma, so I will never be healthy, or my dad was an alcoholic, so I'm doomed to be one, or even just the secular idea of karma, that the universe will eventually get you. That is the House of Atreus.
So reading this helps us understand that mindset, that feeling of being trapped by the past.
It creates empathy. It shows that the human longing for justice and release is universal. Everyone wants the Furies to stop screaming. But the solution is where worldviews diverge.
Let's wrap this up with part 6, conclusion and synthesis. We can't leave Orestes running away forever. The trilogy continues. And this is important because Aeschylus does offer a solution in the next play, the Eumenides.
He does. And the solution is fascinatingly different from the Christian one.
So Orestes goes to Athens. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, steps in.
She sees the Furies chasing him. She sees Apollo defending him. And she says, we need to settle this. So she sets up a trial, a jury trial.
Wait, so the solution to blood feuds and ancient curses is court?
Less. Essentially, yes. Aeschylus argues that civic justice democracy, law courts, voting, is the way to stop the Furies. The jury is split. Athena casts the deciding vote to acquit Orestes.
And what happens to the Furies?
He transforms them. He gives them a new name, the Eumenides, or the kindly ones, and a new job. They become guardians of the city's justice system. He integrates them into the city.
That is a very political solution.
It is. Aeschylus solves the problem with politics the city. Christianity solves the problem with grace the cross.
That is a vital distinction.
It is. The play is a masterpiece of political hope. Aeschylus is basically saying, hey, Athens is great because we have courts instead of killing each other.
Oh.
And that's true. Courts are better than feuds.
Absolutely.
But for the theologian, it falls short of spiritual redemption. A court can declare you not guilty or acquitted, but it can't heal your soul. It can't wash away the miasma. Only grace does that.
So if we sum up our deep dive into the Libation Bearers, what are the big takeaways?
1. It depicts the absolute horror of sin cycles and vengeance. It's the before picture of the gospel.
The Black Velvet.
2, it creates empathy for the human struggle to find justice when you are hurt. It takes that desire seriously. And 3, it highlights by its absence the uniqueness of the Christian solution. Forgiveness is the only thing that breaks the wheel.
It's a heavy read, but a rewarding one. It forces you to look into the abyss so you can appreciate the light.
Well said.
Before we go, we'd like to leave you with a final provocative thought, something to chew on.
Here's what I'm thinking about. Orestes was justified by a god. Apollo told him to do it. Apollo promised he would be okay.
Right, he had divine sanction.
Yet, when he did it, he still suffered the Furies. He still went mad. Even divine justification in the pagan world couldn't protect his mind from the horror of his actions.
That's terrifying. Your god tells you to do something, and doing it still breaks you.
So the question is, if even the pagan gods couldn't give Orestes peace, how does that change the way you view the peace that passes understanding promised in the Christian faith? If the gospel offers a peace that can actually silence the Furies in your head, that is something worth exploring.
That is it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us in the House of Atreus. We'll see you next time.